wave to you on the way back home. Fair weather friends, where have you been? I've spent this whole winter alone, and you I have not seen.
3 years ago, I moved to a small Welsh town, nestled between 3 rivers. I'd never lived beside a river before. Every day I take a moment to watch the river that flows past my neighbourhood while walking my dog. This ritual started me wondering where the River Monnow's life begins, so I set off on a pedalling pilgrimage to meet it at its source. This is a journey of curiosity in search of the boundaries of home. To guide a circular route, I'll be using the invisible divide of the river's watershed, the borderline that marks where rainfall drains between one river and the next. So I've just dropped down from my house into Monmouth, and this is where it ends for the Monnow as it meets the Wye. This is the start of the ride for me today. So I'm going to head up across the medieval bridge in Monmouth, and then from there on in, the river's going to be on my right-hand side. So from here, it's upstream until tonight.
We left town on a Monday to fill our nets with fish. When we came back on a Saturday, this town was burning witches. It was a priest, a lawyer, a doctor and a judge, with all the tools of fear. The church and state have to back up what they say against a widow, a sex worker and 3 back-chatting maids. They had great stones laid up upon their chest. Oh, tell us who's to blame. They pressed them and then, they pressed them and then, they piled up stones upon their chest. They pressed them.
So I've crossed Monmouthshire, across rolling hills, and I'm now on the path up the Skirrid, which is just inside the national park boundary. I'm pushing. It's far too steep to ride, but it's also a footpath. But I know at this point I'm heading north towards the source, and this is where the hills start. The great thing about this spot is it really highlights the watershed boundary. So off this sharp end of the mountain, the water flows into the Monnow, my home river, and on all other sides of the mountain it flows into the River Usk, which is the adjoining watershed. And from here I can see where I'm headed tonight, up into the Black Mountains. With a weather front approaching, I change path to meander along the valley bottom in the shelter of gentle contours. Water doesn't care for the lines on the map, and following this pattern, I soon too have to make a beeline back up onto the watershed divide. Between the thin space up here, where rainfall meets the mountains, the time is slipping away to find the source before darkness. So I got to this spot last night. It was after sunset by the time I got here, and the cloud had come in, so at the end of yesterday I had to do a few route alterations just to make up a bit of time. Really windy and slow progress, and found this little nook. I'm nestled away here, and I don't know what it's going to be like higher up, whether I'm going to be able to see much and try and work out where the river starts. So it's time to try and find the source of the river. It becomes apparent that my plan has to change. Needlessly pushing on at the cost of the journey was never the aim, so I make peace with waiting another day to reach the source. Another day, and I've rejoined the route. This is one of the high points. We're at Hay Bluff here, and we're just about to cross the border into England for the first time. The river follows the border largely from where I started at home up to the source here. So these valleys, I guess the most clear representation of the power of water and how they've cut through the mountains over millennia. You can feel that this is the start of the journey of the water.
She called me darling. She called me darling.
So I've made it to the source. I've been wondering for a while what it will feel like to be here. Come off the top of the hill and down into a little brook and found running water. So there's a sign of life alongside the wet ground. On finding this trickle of water that connects home, I feel a sense of satisfaction, and yet I'm left with more questions. Just as nature has no beginning and end, no start and finish, the exact source of the river is impossible to know. But by choosing to slow down, I feel more aware, more present and more connected with this place. And it's natural too that I'm just passing through. Heading out back downstream is the stark contrast, from mountains to the flatter ground of Herefordshire, where the land is shaped more subtly by the river. So I've come out of the lowlands of Herefordshire, and this has given me a 360 view of the whole route, in fact. I can see every corner of the watershed from here, which is pretty cool. There's an interesting example of where the Welsh-English border follows the river, and in time the river's chosen a new course, but the borders remained on the old river path. As I start off down my home valley, a map of the watershed completes in my mind. I think back to the question I had at the start of this journey. Could I really know this river without experiencing where it begins, and the land it passes through to reach my neighbourhood? In no other way is this better witnessed than by the ebb and flow of pedal power, as I weave with the signs and patterns around me. Just as the river shows, if we don't move with it, it'll move us. This is the area that I guess I know and love. It's nice to be back here, and it's been a long hot day, so it's definitely the right thing to slip into the river and cool off. Having visited the source this morning, I guess the question I'm going to be reflecting on is, has that strengthened my connection with this place, because I know the bigger story of the river now. And I guess really when it comes to thinking about what home means, it makes sense to me that this little niche, this little corner of the watershed that I live in is the place that I can actually regularly experience and connect with and care about in the ways I can. Now I've got that sense of where this water's come from and the land it's gone through. So it's a nice piece of the picture in terms of how I see my relationship to this river.